So, bringing you the best of blackness, we have the what is, I don't even know what the outstanding Eric Vaughn Weaver here. Say hi to the people, Vaughn.
Hi to the people, Vaughn.
Yeah, I hear you call him Vaughn. That's just because we know each other for a long time. So Vaughn, I invited you here because I'm doing this new endeavor, and I want to bring people the best of black. And when I thought about educators, you are someone who popped in my mind. We knew each other for a long time. And you being a black man that came from the hood and now in the educational aspect, teaching young black males and just children, period. I just wanted to talk to you and just pick your brain a little bit about what it is that you do.
Okay.
And so can you please tell the lovely audience what position you currently hold at the Rutgers University in New Brunswick, New Jersey?
I am employed at Rutgers University as the School of Arts and Sciences Educational Opportunity Fund Senior Counselor. I am also an adjunct professor for the Africana Studies Department at Rutgers University, as well as a doctoral candidate at Rutgers University.
Oh, I know that's right. Doctoral candidate at Rutgers University. And you mentioned that you work for the EOF, the Educational Opportunity Fund Program. Could you just expound on that a little bit and tell people a little more for those who are unfamiliar with the program?
Absolutely. So the EOF program, which is the acronym that we use, is a program that's geared towards helping first-generation students that come from low socioeconomic backgrounds such as Jersey City or Newark or any urban school area who may have the desire to go to college but may not have the resources or the funding to go. So my program assists them by giving them counseling, which is something that I am, as well as extra funding and support and additional resources that connect them to the university as a whole so that they don't get swallowed up in the largeness of the community from which the university is.
That's a beautiful thing, and I'm just thinking, like, so you got your bachelor's from Bloomfield College in audio engineering. Were you a product of the EOF program?
I was not. Unfortunately, I was not. And I was not a product of the EOF program because my mother made literally $1,000 more in the Education Opportunity Fund requirement. However, I was a student without the funding criteria that would have been eligible for the program. So, even with my role as a counselor, I tried to be what I wish I had when I was a student. When I got to school, I really had no idea what I was doing. I literally only went to college, and this is going to be some stuff now because my mother's probably going to see all this, but I only went to college because she wanted me to go to school. I had no real desire to go to school, which is how I ended up going for my degree in audio engineering. While I was at Snyder High School, which is the high school I graduated from, I used to be involved in producing and things like that, and I thought I was going to be the next Pharrell or Timbaland. That didn't work out the way I planned, but when I started going to school, these were the things that I thought about. Had I had an EOF counselor or somebody there to assist me, I probably would have navigated things a little differently, but because I literally walked into a PWI, which is a predominantly white institution, with no sort of inclination of what college was like outside of my peers who had just attended the year before me, and they said, party, party, party. I had no idea what to expect. So, luckily within my sophomore year, I was able to join an organization that was very helpful and conducive to me actually changing my mindset.
I'm sure your mom's proud.
I'm
sure your mother's proud. Don't feel too bad because I didn't know what I was going to major in when I got to school either.
I tell my students all the time, and this, this is one of the great things, again, trying to be the counselor that I wish I had. I tell them, if you don't know what you want to do when you get to school, that's okay, and sometimes you come to school with these big aspirations of things you want to do and realize that this isn't really the path you want to go down as well, and it's okay to change that also.
And it's all a part of you getting to know yourself, right?
Absolutely. That's college is that growing. That's where you grow and you actually become who you are. Start to learn who you are as a person.
That's so true. That's so true that you say that, because people think that you are just like, I'm going to school, I'm going to be this and that. You get there and it's like, I wanted to be a pediatrician when I was younger. Go figure. It's not going to happen. I'm just saying.
You know, we have these. You get that question when you're younger in these communities. You know, in our community, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you're like, I want to be this, right? Because you've seen it on TV and you think it's obtainable, and it is. However, you don't know the work that it takes to get there, or the knowledge and information you need to know prior to you getting there, right? So, you know, we have a lot of students that come and they say they want to be scientists and they want to be, you know, pardon me, prayer time. They want to be scientists and they want to do things in the STEM field, which is great. And, you know, that's because they got a B in biology in their freshman year. And then they get to college and they realize biology from high school is something totally different than biology from college, you know. But, you know, they've already told themselves that they were going to be this bio major and be in the STEM field, that they constantly try to go for it and don't realize they don't really have the college prep tools that would really help you, you know. You know, not to be very, I'm just to be blunt, you know, the white counterparts, you know what I'm saying, that we have, this is embedded in them as they grow up. You know, from their childhood, they already know they're going to college. Some of us didn't even have to know what college was until we got to high school, and we kind of had to think about that.
And we're the first generation of college graduates.
Absolutely. You know, and you don't even know what that means until you literally get to college.
It's history.
And understanding, like, I'm really the first person in my immediate family to actually do this. And
get a degree.
It's a lot of pressure on you as especially a person of color. That can be a lot of pressure.
Right. Because there's so many things that can deter us from school. You know, just getting out. Well, you know what? But one thing I will say is, though, I would say that the what do you call it? The street smarts.
Yes.
And the book smart, the street smarts kind of prepare you for going to school, because a lot of people are sheltered, and I'm sure you see this. A lot of people come to school sheltered, never been out away from their parents, right? And they get to school and they are
bug out. They don't know out.
They go
that's
crazy.
You know, we talk about capital, right? And capital meaning, you know, things that are kind of, or assets and things that were given to us either from our culture or from our social status, right? We have, you know, unfortunately, we come from a low social status sort of population, so a lot of our capital comes from the culture, which is our street smarts, right? Damn. So we take that and we go to higher ed and we go to colleges, and, you know, it doesn't really prepare us for the academic piece, but it does kind of help us, you know, figure out how to navigate in some senses, right? So now when you have that cultural capital and you open your mind to allow you to pick up the academic piece, and you allow yourself to speak to or affiliate with other groups outside of your typical or normal group, that's when you start to acquire more of the other social capital. Once those two kind of interact, you become, you know, people say sometimes I'm a chameleon, you know what I'm saying? Like, when I'm in a certain setting, I know how to, I don't want to say behave, but I know how to navigate that setting versus when I'm back home.
It's
you know,
essential.
And that's what the street smarts.
It's
you know,
essential.
that's what the street smarts teach you.
A lot of people wish they had street smarts.
People do.
I wish a lot of people had street smarts. Yeah. But no, it's cool that you said that.
Street smarts, common sense, you know, kind of go hand in hand.
That's what I would think. But yeah, no. So we talking about you being. I just want to. I wanted to boast and like brag on you a little bit, just a little bit. So, you know, we knew each other since, I don't know, high school. We both were in money training together. Now that I know what I know, I got something to say to Shy Campbell. I
think a lot of us got some things.
We're going to holler at him another time.
You my guy still, yeah.
You know, you born and raised in Jersey City, so you know about, like you talked about the social status, where we come from, like how things kind of hinder us when we get somewhere, and you work with these children or whatever. You got your master's in criminal justice from Rutgers as well.
No, actually, my master's is from New Jersey State University.
Oh, New Jersey State. Okay, and then you're on your road.
I'm working on my doctorate.
On the road to PhD.
Yes.
So working with these children, how have you found this work? Have you found it rewarding? How has it changed you as a person dealing with the kids every day?
It's definitely changed me. And honestly, the rewarding. I never really thought about the rewarding piece of it. A lot of it was just me wanting to do or be someone that I wish I had in my life. And I had some men around. I don't want to take anything from them, but they didn't really feed me the way I needed to be fed, if that makes sense, right? And that comes with, you know, opening my mind and helping me explore different things, understanding what it means to be in a school system, what it means to be a student, what it means to be a black man, what it means to be a black man in the society from which we came. So, you know, for me, I never really thought about the rewarding piece until I literally had, I have students that come up to me that I haven't seen since they were younger, and it's really one of the most blessings, you know, biggest blessings that you ever had. Yesterday, literally, I'm on I want to say Claremont, and I had a student like literally call me by my last name, like Weave, which is like, so I get that every now and again when the young men and women get older, and so I hopped out to talk to him, and he just, you know, he stopped me. He was like, you know, I always wanted to tell you how much I really admired you and looked up to you. And I never really thought that. He was one of my, you know, my runts, you know what I'm saying, that I always tried to make sure I took after. I brought him in, had lunch with him and talked to him and things like that. And for a while, I never really thought that anything I was saying was getting through to him. So for him to kind of reassure me yesterday was kind of like, it put the hugest smile on my face.
It's a good feeling.
It's I was down, and I'm going to say that because I was going through a lot of things personally, especially with schooling and stuff going on in my life. That literally changed my entire day around. Just that one conversation with that young man did everything for me that week.
It's something about knowing that you impacted somebody that
much. I never thought about it like that.
And you just go about your day until they come
about it like that.
and tell you. It's a beautiful thing. So, okay. No, we're going to break.
Okay.
Stop it. Yeah. Something I was reading on you, I'm particularly interested in your teachings and your presentations thus far, which seem to be geared towards working with young black males or just young males in general about awareness and empowerment. You could just tell us a little bit more about that.
So I try to, at Rutgers, I teach a course in the Africana Studies department called The Black Male Identity in the U.S. And it's open to all students, not just black male students, but to every student.
I'm interested.
However, I do get a high number of black men that attend. And in that class, you know, not only do I try to show the empowerment, but also, you know, the trauma from which we all have come, you know, and because we may not experience it in our immediate families, we don't understand the cultural trauma and the ethnic trauma that has taken place throughout all these years, and how these things transcend through generations and still affect us to this day, which is why we have, you know, such a high rating of police brutality and unfortunate homeless populations. So, you know, with that class, I try to definitely, you know, make sure that the students understand from which we came and how we can use what we came from or the trauma that we've had to actually better ourselves instead of recycling those traumas through generational curses, you know. We sometimes, you know, and I'm going to just use the word recycle again, the generational dysfunctions that have happened throughout the years, through our families and through our children and through our peers, because it's like it's all we know, you know, but because we aren't educated enough, and I don't mean by opening the book, I mean by actually taking the time to really see what's going on in the world and how it's affecting us, you know, we continue to do those things to each other over and over. So, you know, with the class, I try to, you know, spark some sort of, you know, put a light switch on for some of the students, you know what I'm saying, so that they can walk out of the class and out of the 15 weeks actually feeling like they have a better understanding of the way the world works and how they can actually be productive in the place as well.
As you're teaching these classes, is there any like one traumatic episode that that comes up a lot or that resonates most with students? Is that something that you see? And if so, what is that? I'm curious.
And again, my class is open to all. It doesn't matter what your race, ethnicity is, gender or sexuality, you know. But one reoccurring theme is the role of the father in the lives of both the men and the women, and how some of their parents have their fathers have either been taken away from them via, tragic incidents, you know, murder or, you know, some sort of incarceration, you know, and you know, and how some of the conversations that we have, they don't realize how much that affected them until we start to discuss certain things, you know.
I'm sure the tears well up.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I allow my students to, you know, I let them know that classroom is a safe space. Nothing that we discuss ever leaves that classroom. So this is a place where you're able to feel vulnerable. And in that vulnerability, you have people to support you, you know. So I allow the students to be able to express some of their fears, concerns, or, past trauma if they feel open to it. But like I said, one of the recurring things is the place and the role of the black male father, or, the father in general, and how that absence, played a huge role or part in the things that they kind of experience in life.
It's crazy as you just sitting there thinking about it, and I'm working on a seminar for trauma because it's like you really don't realize that you're dealing with it until something like a switch goes off in your head, or you're talking to somebody, you're like, hold on.
Yes.
That's why I'm going in these circles. That's why I'm feeling that way.
Yes.
I can speak on it.
And it's like, even with our young women, the first person that's supposed to love you is supposed to be your father. You know what I'm saying? And when you don't have that, you start to not understand what love is and look for it in the wrong places. And I'm not trying to say this is exactly what happens in all women's lives, but I'm just speaking figuratively. The fact that you don't have this person that kind of shows you what it is to be a woman and how a woman should be respected. You don't really, you go off of what you see on social media, what you see in the entertainment industry, or, God forbid, a family member that's going through some stuff that they shouldn't be going through, and these are the examples that you have, and without having that person, it can really do some damage to you.
It all really just goes back to like kids learn what they see. They're like sponges. They soak up everything, and even if it doesn't come out in their childhood,
it'll come out. It comes out eventually.
It
comes out
for sure. So I'm very, very glad that you're in the space that you're in as a black man, regardless of if you teach all, because it's not just black students, like you said, you even need to be aware, or male or female, but it's just something for people, because we're not, black people aren't the only ones who experience fatherlessness,
absolutely.
or experiencing some type of trauma in the home. So if nobody congratulated you thus far for being in position, I will congratulate you.
Make me even more bashful in front of this.
Okay. Anyway. So we're gonna go to what do you believe, and since you've been an educator, you've been working with young males, but I want to just particularly talk about black males, since you are a black male. What do you think is the biggest, or are the biggest, misconceptions of black men or young black males in society?
That we are unwilling or do not want to learn. I think that is one of the biggest misconceptions, especially from those who are from more affluent backgrounds. They seem to think that we come to these spaces and we don't want to learn, or we act out because we don't want to be there. And that's not necessarily the case. We may act out, or we may have troubles because of our past, or because of things that happen in our lives.
Right.
When you have a student that comes to class that is upset or doesn't want to do work, where the white teachers may feel like he's just being disrespectful and disobedient.
Right.
You don't know that his lights went out this morning. He was unable to take a shower at home because the water bill wasn't paid. So now he has to come to school wearing the same clothes he's worn for the past. What I'm saying? These are things that we don't really, that people don't pay attention to. But because we are black men and we seem to have these troubles and we're so angry. No, it's not angry. A lot of it is just fear. A lot of it is just, the unknown, and we have that big fear of not knowing what we're getting ourselves into and what we're doing. So it's not that we don't want to learn. It's the fact that we may not have the access, resources, or support to push us through in order to do the things that we want to do.
And funny that you say that, because it's like, the kid is there. they came to class, and I would think as an educator, like somebody in the business of teaching someone, that you would, maybe you would keep that kid back after class and say, what's the issue today? Because that's the era I feel like I came from.
We
teachers,
did, and teachers that had empathy, that had care and nurturing. A lot of the educators that we had growing up were women, and the ones that were the closest to us were the women of color, and they were the ones that kind of had that mothering feeling, and they understood when something was wrong, as opposed to where we had, and I'm not speaking again for all white educators, because there are some amazing white educators out there, but many of them come from, more affluent areas, and they come to the public school systems in the urban schools because they get paid more to teach these types of students. You know what I'm saying? But with teaching these types of students, they don't understand these types of students. So you know, I think a big thing for me is that we have to get more into community teaching and community education, having people that literally come from the areas and the homes from where we live that can actually come back to the education system and be able to support these kids in its fullness. You know, because it's not just whether or not the student knows 1 + 2. You know what I'm saying? Is whether or not this student is actually able to learn it the same way that everyone else wants. Because not all people learn the same. You know.
I'll show you, my brother. No, that's good. That's look. I couldn't have said it better myself.
But it's real. Like I, you know, and to give like just hindsight of my personal experience, you know what I'm saying? Math was not my greatest subject, you know, and it wasn't that I didn't want to know math. It was I strayed away from it because I didn't understand it. And I remember getting to algebra 2, and I'm like, I don't even know what the hell I'm about to do with this class, like whatsoever. And I had, God bless her heart, you know, Miss Sanimo, and I'm gonna name drop. She was a little old white lady in Snyder High School, like, but got the utmost respect from her students because she actually cared, and she helped me understand algebra in a way that I never ever seen it before, because she taught me the way that I needed to be instructed. Yes, it meant putting a little more effort into helping me, you know, as opposed to some of the other students. But if it wasn't for her, I would have never even made it out of that class, you know. And I give her, here it is, I'm 32 years old, you know what I'm saying? And out of all of the teachers, she's one that sticks out to me at the top of my head, you know what I'm saying? And again, this is an elderly white woman, you know, but she took the time to actually, you know, understand her students and understand her student population, and understanding that these students aren't going to all learn the same. They're, you know, she taught in other areas, but she felt like this was where she needed to be. Right. And I'm forever grateful for her, you know.
See, and that's what's important. And I really hope if any educators like are listening, that they get that. And I hope that really sits with them, because I can even name like teachers that I know that when I went to school, they were like my mothers, or you know what I'm saying? Or I knew they wasn't going to let me leave Lincoln High School without getting the knowledge. It. But I mean, I think of Miss Smith. That's not going to, but she was a Spanish lady in Spanish, and we call her Smith Beats because she would rap like the Spanish lessons out. You know what I mean? But I tell you what,
right? You know,
we all got 100s on her test, but you know, she knew, like she just knew, and she was a beautiful lady. So I commend educators all around the world. But it's more than just a paycheck.
It's because there's a difference between being a teacher and an educator, if you ask me. You know, a teacher is somebody that's going to teach what they are informed that they need to teach at that moment. An educator, and it doesn't have to be just the school system. We're talking about life in general. Is going to make sure you get everything holistically. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not just, an education is not just given inside a textbook. You know, education is given in culture, and education is given in society, and education is given in, you know, culture. You know, like, you know, I'm repeating myself, but you have to have an overall experience in order to be educated. I wouldn't be where I was if I was only quote unquote educated from a textbook.
Right. You just got to realize it's learning in every aspect of everything. It never stops. So beautiful thing. Okay. All right. So we're going to get into your affiliations. You are a member of the Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Okay. Yes, you are. Okay. I wanted to know, did you know much about fraternities and sororities, the Divine Nine? Let me say that, before going to college?
Nothing.
Nothing at all?
Absolutely nothing.
Like, not have heard of any of them? Seen them step?
I'm going to say the only organization I may have heard of, and again, this is still, you know, in hindsight, like, I didn't really understand it, was, you know, bless this man, you know, I call him my godfather, Officer Keith Brown. He was a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. You know,
the Qs.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he was the only person that I had that even was remotely close to that world, right? And now, mind you, knowing all what I know now, there were a lot of people that were involved. You know, and this goes into why I started, and I'm sure you're probably asking this, but why I started doing some of the work that I started doing was because, you know, with all this knowledge that was out here, people weren't really exposing us to it. So before going to college, I had no idea what a Greek letter organization was, you know, and it wasn't until I got to, like I said, my sophomore year of college, and it's a good friend of mine, or my frat brother. His name is Curtis Kirkland. I always, I told him I'm gonna write about him when I do my dissertation because I got to put him in my book. If it wasn't for the conversation that him and I had and shared in class, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be where I am today because he informed me about this organization that literally changed my entire life. I swear by the fact that Greek letter organizations do so much. Black Greek letter organizations, because I want to put emphasis on that, right? Black Greek letter organizations do so much for the community as a whole that, people don't even realize it.
I think I'm just sitting over here smiling as you're saying that because I remember, I've heard of it, but like when I walk on the yard at Virginia State University, and I'm like,
eyes light up.
Okay, yes, no, they do because it's like, who are they?
This is different.
Like, where do they kind of dope. Like, on the, you know what I'm saying? It's like a sisterhood. It's like a brotherhood. It's like we had the homecomings and just to see the parents, the grandparents, the great-grandparents.
The legacies of it, yes.
Like the legacy in it. And it's not even, like, that's just one thing for sure. But when I realized, like, what they were for, why they were founded, was even more like, yes,
absolutely.
Like our people.
And it's like all these color affiliations, and they not trying to kill each other, right?
They giving these big.
These guys are red, these guys in blue. They able to hang together. What is going on?
But you don't hear about that. You see what I'm saying? And it's an exposure that brings us back to that exposure, like just being exposed to it. Because I don't know how I would have been had I not left to go to school, you know what I mean? But we did go out. We did go out to Jersey City when I was younger. But like, what attracted you to? You said your frat brother.
Yeah, man, my frat brother Kurt.
So there was just a conversation that.
So it was.
What made you want to?
It was genuine. It was genuine because we were. I want to say in this damn math class. All right, here we go, math haunting me again, right? And he was fortunate to be a part of the Sigma Beta Club, which is a little brother affiliation, so to speak, to Phi Beta Sigma. He got to school, he had knowledge of these organizations and knew already, like, I'm going to be a Sigma. It was actually, and this is kind of where, the connection comes, it's what drove him to go to school because he wanted to be a part of the bigger picture, which was the fraternity, and not just be a part of the little brother organization. So we're in the class, and we always had very cool interaction, and he's from Northern Jersey City, so at first it was kind of that, like,
the clash,
rivalry, right. But then, and that's just from the things that are embedded in my head.
It's nonsense, people. I promise.
But we got to know each other, and the vibe was cool, the energy was great. I'm big on energy, and we connected, and one day in class, I was sitting in front of him, and he tapped me, he was like, yo, you want to become a part of this fraternity with me? And I'm like, mind you, like I said, this math class, I should be paying attention, but I'm looking back at him. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I'm trying to join this organization called Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. I'm like, I have no idea what that is, bro. He's like, oh, yo, we got it. At the class, we're going to sit down, we'll talk about it, whatever the case may be. From that conversation, that sparked me actually wanting to inquire more about different organizations. And how I ended up coming back to Omega Psi Phi and realizing, oh wait, I have seen this before. I just never really understood it. But having conversation with those members really kind of helped me. If I could say the moment that really stuck to me was in 2005. My cousin Tara was shot and killed, that was like one of the hardest times for me in my life that I can remember growing up. And here was these members that literally didn't know me or really have much connection to me other than the fact that we went to the same college. They found out when the funeral was, showed up to the funeral and supported me. And that kind of showed me what brotherhood is supposed to look like. It doesn't matter, I'm sorry, and I'm just telling my tale here, but that, like I said, that moment was one of the key moments for me, and that showed me that, man, these gentlemen, I didn't have to know them all my life. You know what I'm saying? To know that they wanted my best interest and wanted to make sure that I was cared for and everything was okay on my end, and ever since then, I was kind of like a little ignorant to not listening to what other people said because I thought I knew everything. I allowed myself to be open to any conversation that I had with gentlemen that were, of color and older.
As you say that, it's crazy. The next question I was going to ask you was, what has becoming a Sigma taught you about the importance of brotherhood, manhood, community service, and giving back?
So, my father was around or was present as far as the physical, but he wasn't really active in my life. And with that, I didn't really have too many older gentlemen that kind of, took to me and really helped show me what it was to be a man. Now, again, I'm not taking away from my uncles that were there, but they had a lot going on also. So a lot of it was me kind of just, picking pieces from them, picking pieces from some of the older gentlemen on the blocks that I hung out on, and trying to figure out what it was to be a man. But that was actually, some of that was incorrect, and we have these thoughts about what it is to be a man when it comes to masculinity and things of that nature, and what we don't realize is that we are taught hyper masculinity,
right,
which is not, something that's conducive to our livelihood, but, and having the connection with these young men, they kind of taught me, they literally broke me down in my old ways of life and helped build me in what it means to be a man and what it means to be a man of Sigma. And doing that, I was able to learn more about myself, and allow myself to be vulnerable and strong enough to be able to take in these new thought process contexts and apply them to my livelihood. And that was one of the best things that could have ever happened to me.
I love that. It allowed you to be vulnerable. Hey.
Hold up. But how much more you got?
Just one more. Well, just one more.
One more
card, and then a little game I want to play. One word first thought.
Okay, that should be interesting.
Let's go. Go ahead.
Go to it. Okay. I love that you said it allowed you to be vulnerable, because I feel like a lot of our men are missing that space, and I don't think that people don't invite them to be. It's just what they learn, be hyper masculine, So
we got to be tough and macho, But sometimes I think we have a misconception of the word vulnerable, right? And we think of vulnerable and think we're supposed to cry and we're supposed to be it's about being open. It's about being open-minded. It's about allowing people to get to know you, and this way they can assist you in helping making you a better person.
Right. And speaking of Greek life, you were very instrumental in bringing the Meet the Greeks to Jersey City. And tell me a little bit about how that came about and why was it so important for you to expose our youth, our city to the Divine Nine, and explain what the Divine Nine is and entails, please. I know.
So the Divine Nine are historically black group letter fraternities and sororities.
Right.
I'm not sure if you want me to run all that. Oh, okay. Well, so I have. Thank you to, and shout out to my brothers and sisters that are part of the Jersey City Greek Alliance, which is a group that we started a few years ago, and how we ended up even doing a Meet the Greeks event was, again, I said my exposure to the Greek community is kind of what helped shape the person that I am today.
Right.
And I just thought about that in context to what it would be like for other men and women that come from where I come from, and the fact that my frat brother Curtis Kirkland, like I stated, I'm saying your whole name just so people know who I'm referring to, had that connection with the Sigma Beta Club, which helped, assist him and trigger him into wanting to go to college and push him and influence to want to go to school. So for me, it was like, hey, I wonder if this can actually happen, for people back home where I'm from, and thinking the fact that if they had exposure to some of this stuff, it would kind of help pull them and draw them into higher education in the college. So I got a great friend and a DJ by Hot 97 named DJ Wala, who does a lot of Greek letter organization events.
Shout out to Wala.
Yeah, my guy, my brother, excuse me. So I reached out to him and told him what I was trying to do, because he knew exactly what the missions are of these organizations and also the type of things that we do. And he was like, let's do it. Was able to get the Mary McLeod Bethune Center. We did it in the parking lot, and in the process of doing that, I contacted my college affiliations or liaisons and had them come out as well. So in the process of the community being exposed to Greek letter organizations, they also had the colleges there so that they can go to the universities and speak to advisors and speak to counselors that are very pivotal to the way that these institutions run, and learn more about college, learn more about what it is to be in higher education, and knowing if it is even possible. One of the great things from doing it. And I'll never forget is one of my friends, she came to me and she said, my son's 8 years old. We've never even had a conversation about college, but because he's seen, you know, what happened at Meet the Greeks, he was like, I want to be a part of them. And in order for him to be a part of them, he knew he had to go to school. He's like, I'm going to college, Mom, you know, because I want to be a part of, you know, and you know, shout out to the Qs with the purple and gold. You know, I want to be one of them. And that really helped, you know. And speaking, I wrapped up with him maybe about a year ago, and he's doing everything he needs to do in school now to make sure that that is something that's possible.
That's a beautiful thing. That's like, it's like a warm in my heart. So you
I'm
know,
trying
just
to find a way to connect, you know, like you know, connect my personal experience and bring it back home in order to make some things happen. You know, a lot of us want to do great things, you know, for our city, but we don't really know how to go about doing it. And I really didn't know, but this was like one of the things that popped out to me because again, it was my story. And knowing that if I had that exposure when I was in high school, I definitely would have done a lot more and done some things differently, you know, growing up.
That's a beautiful thing. Well, I just want to take this time to commend you for all the work that you do as an educator with Rutgers University. I want to commend you on your, I mean, I don't know, is it activism? I mean,
you know what? I've been trying to figure that out. I don't know if
I would say activist.
Servant, if I'm an activist, I'm not really sure.
Well, I mean, because it's like you're active in your community, you're helping to expose these young kids to like things that they may have never been exposed to, you know, and it's really a beautiful thing. Meet the Greeks would never be here if it wasn't, you know, for you. So it's like it's great to know that people, like when you go away, you learn, you get the knowledge, and you come back and you give it back. And I just really hope people are more receptive of people who are here, who, you know, went away and they really love their city. You know what I'm saying? It's, people do it out of love, you know, and I feel like we go places and we branch out and we do things in other cities because people notice, but it's no other city we would want to do it but right here. You know what I'm saying? And I really hope people realize that and it starts to resonate with people and we could come together more and we will be looking out for you. Yes. Oh wait, before we end this, we got to do one word, one thought. 1/3 first thought. Little game. All right, so first word. The first thing that popped into your mind, okay? Real quick.
I'm nervous.
No. Community.
Love.
Childhood.
Trauma.
Money train.
Popularity.
Big time. Black woman. That's 2 words, but you get me.
Beautiful.
Education.
I so many first words popping into my head. So many first words.
What's the first word?
Man. Important.
Important. The culture.
Embrace.
Black man.
Powerful.
PhD. Soon.
Dramatic.
Thank you so much, guys. Can you plug yourself? Let the people know where they can find you and see you if you know you just want to.
You can see me around
doing his philanthropy, of course.
Trying, you know. You can. I don't know if we're doing plugs. You can follow me at Vaughn05, but you can also follow me at the coolest COOLEST geek GEEK. Peace.
Thank you, Vaughn. Bringing you the best of black people.
Prezi.